Hi there. How you doing? It's Alicia. I'm happy to see you for tonight's segment of Embracing Change. It's about walking through the world in these scary times. And they're scary. And it's really hard to balance our lives when there's a lot of negative stuff coming at us. And yet, because life is consciousness, we want to be conscious and aware of everything that happens. It's a survival instinct until you take it too far. We're going to look at that a little bit tonight. Before that, well, actually, it's a part of it. Today's National Day calendar, it had some stuff on it, but not a lot that really excited me. But I thought it was important that it is Be Heard Day. It's really important, really powerful. Most people that we have a difference with, that we have an argument with, basically, a lot of it could be overcome because what they really want more than anything else is to be heard. What perfect timing. She wants to be heard. Let me go either put her up on the bed or bring her back with me. What do you want, baby? You want to go back up on the bed? There you go. I thought she might want to be in the video today because she loves that. But if I brought her into the video and then she jumped down and decided she wanted to go back on the bed, that would be a problem. So let's get back to where we were with Being Heard Day. So a lot of times we will have a difference with someone and we'll either keep our mouth shut when we should open them, or open them and say things we wished we'd never said. You ever had that happen? And then there's the times I keep my mouth shut and there's this argument going on, and when it's over you go, I wished I'd have said this, I wished I'd have said that. Why? Because basically we want to be heard. So if you have in your life someone that you need to have a talk with, I invite you to let them be heard. We always jump to conclusions about something we see. Perfect example, and it fits in with today's topic, is when we are afraid we're going to hear something we don't want to hear. So we stand up and we try to stop it right away so they don't tell us. You think it's going to start a fight, or we're so busy defending ourselves and our opinion in the way that we think it should be that we don't take time to just let them be heard. Before you go jumping on and trying to tell them the way it is, and you may be trying to defend yourself against something when it's something totally different that the issue is about. And you can let them be heard without the need to immediately respond. It's okay to say, let me think about that a little bit. So whatever you got going on at home, at work, in your relationships, if someone comes to you and you feel it's going to be a challenge, let them be heard. And you want to be heard too, because we all have things that we feel are important the other person knows. And understand that we really can't change someone else's mind. Only they can change their own mind. But if we listen to them, they will be more willing to listen to us. It's about balance. So today, always we seem to be going through some pretty scary times, and it just seems over the past 5-10 years, it's been escalating. Actually, like the past 60 years, it's been escalating and escalating. We seem to be in more and more challenging positions. And I think it's not so much how challenging the positions we're put in are, but they seem not to be resolved or not to be resolving. So inside of us, we got all this unfinished business. Ugh, great time to be heard, right? It is scary to think about a lot of the challenges with the climate change, with what's going on in the Ukraine, with what could have been going on here if January 6th had gone different, right? So we have to find a way to be informed without getting into hysterics, right? And that's not easy. We have to come to a place of absolute trust. What inspired me today was all the talk about gas prices. And if you read any number of different reports, what different people say, different experts, what they're saying, they really don't agree. So what happens is we have to listen and we have to become informed. Then we have to use our critical thinking skills to make our choices. Let's talk about gas prices. If it helps that we cut back our gas uses, let them do sanctions on gas, fuel, let them do it. Winter's over, thank God. So if it's heating, fuel, and stuff that you have concerns about, that's pretty much behind us. What if we just tightened our belts a little bit and said, okay, instead of saying, I'm not going to pay that price. No, what if it could help bring peace? What is that price of gas worth to you, really? Do your research. If you believe that it is a good thing to impose the sanctions and pay higher prices, you cannot compare the price of a gallon of gas and to the price of peace, or even to the price of one life. There's a lot of talk about with the war in Ukraine about the no-fly zone. We should just make a no-fly zone. That'd help to keep them safe. Yeah, well, it would also instigate an escalation of the war in a way that will more closely impact us. Most of us shudder at the thought of World War III, right? But I'm going to invite us to step back. Remember what you're told at a railroad crossing? Talked about it not too long ago. Stop, look, and listen. We have to learn to back up and get the big picture. We talk about cause and effect, and if you guys that I talk to all the time don't get it about cause and effect now, you're never going to get it. Cause and effect. Every time we do something, we set forth a cause. Every cause we set forth has an effect. For better or worse, it comes back in the same nature as we send it. If you give someone a smile, you may get a smile back. If you go punch someone in the face, you're probably going to get punched in the face back. So, henceforth, we don't want to do that, do we? So with the gas prices, and okay, this is trigger alert. You may get ticked off at me. Please love me anyway. Just stop, look, and listen. Let's stop being so spoiled. We are so spoiled. We really can have just about anything we want. Yes, there are vast parts of our population who have a very hard time getting what they want. But there is also a huge amount of people who basically can get whatever they want, to the excessive fact that there are all these storage units that people put all the stuff that they buy and they're not going to use, and it sits there. There are good reasons to have some storage units if you're moving from place to place, if you know you're not going to be very long in a certain area, if you're going to school like that. But we really, when we're in a position that we have so much stuff that we need to pay rent on a shed, and you're probably paying more rent on the shed to put your stuff than it's worth. Did you ever watch the show Storage Wars? I used to watch, I think I watched every episode, which is why I don't watch it anymore, but it's really fascinating to see the amount of stuff that people have. A lot. There's treasures in there, and there's a lot of junk, but it's stuff for some reason you thought you couldn't do without. We can do fine by being okay. You have to balance it out and figure out what is the best choice. If you're upset about the gas prices, then find a way to, in other words, if you're going to go out, get the best use out of that gas mileage. Many years ago, it's amazing to say many years ago, but I worked in Wallingford, which was about 50-minute drive each way to and from work. Now, at that point, it was probably 2006 or 7, we had a gas, the gas prices were jacking up. So I went online and I got all these ideas to how to drive thrifty. In other words, instead of, speeding up and slamming on the brakes and speeding up and slamming on the brakes, don't idle your car. Don't heat your car up in the morning. It really doesn't need it. You're just wasting gas and you're pampering yourself that you don't get in a cold car. That is so minor to what's really important in life. But I had about 50 different tips for making your gas go farther. It's still there today. Let me tell you something. I remember back in the 70s during the gas crisis. It was a big one. We would have to wait in line for hours to get gas and hope like heck that when we got to those gas pumps, they wouldn't be dry. Yep. It was a very tough time and it wasn't cheap. But we have so much wiggle room. We're making big, ugly, horrible stuff everywhere instead of being able to analyze and address the really big, ugly stuff and let the little stuff go. Jesus was brilliant aside from being holy. Probably holiness and brilliance go together. I don't know. It's worth a thought. Jesus said, what is that to you? Follow me. So when you're getting into a big snit, remember the things that we were taught. That God is a source. You know what's coming up? Tax time. Got any concerns about your taxes? Do you know where Jesus found the taxes? With the money for the taxes? In the mouth of a fish. Now listen, metaphysically, fish represent ideas. So if we have our taxes coming up and we need to pay them, we have to look into the mouth of the fish. We have to look for the ideas. Now, many people, like myself, I already got my refund. It's gone. But I want to tell you something. You got to hear this right. Please don't hear this in the wrong way. Don't hear it like I'm bragging. Don't hear it like I'm thinking I'm wonderful. A good portion of my tax refund went to charities, including to the Ukraine, to the Southern Poverty Law Center, to places, Seeds of Peace, to organizations, Feed the Children, Feeding America. There's so many ways to take what you have and give. I'm not, by this world's standards, rich. I live a pretty frugal life, but I am always covered because God provides the divine ideas to provide the funds that I need. And I'm very, very blessed by that. So don't think that you don't have enough to give. Some of you can go to your storage shed and start giving stuff. You can sell it on eBay Marketplace, give it away, and open the doors of plenty to come in for you. So first off, let's not get in a snit about gas prices. We already drive too much, pollute too much. We can walk places that we thought we had to drive. There is so much that we can do. Make one trip and make it count. You don't just count your money, you make your money count. You spend it wisely. All right, let's talk about the grocery store. Everyone's just distressed about grocery prices. I'm going to tell you something, my friends. Every time you throw food in the trash, you are throwing away money. Whether you bought it and never cooked it, whether you don't like leftovers, I will never figure that out, you know. I don't know about you, but for me, leftovers are the best. I mean, they are the best, I'll tell you something. And you can do very creative things with leftovers. Or if you made something you just need to heat and eat, you can give thanks that you're not washing more dishes and doing more stuff than you have to because you already made it. Now, that's another thing. I like to call it, the concept I have is thrifty kitchen. And I'm thinking about doing some thrifty kitchen messages down the road. But for this moment, let's deal with where we are today and the time we have today to talk about it. That what you have used, it is so simple. Yeah, it's tough when you see the prices of, things go up. Meat. People are always talking about the price of meat. Well, I haven't eaten meat in 40 some odd years, so that's not on my plate. But it's not, I don't care. If you want to eat meat, eat meat. It's no skin off my nose, as my mother would say. It's how much meat do you really need? It's how much food do you really need? As I'm trying to do this Lenten practice of trying to sacrifice some pounds for Lent, I realize how little I really need to eat. And I see how much I consume for comfort. or just it's just a sensual pleasure. How can you not have something wonderful in your mouth and roll it around? I give thanks for my taste buds, you know. Oh God, thank you for my taste buds. What a joy delicious food is. But if we abuse the food by eating it too much, that's our problem. And here in our country, we waste more food than other people eat. And that's kind of scary. So when you go to the grocery store, don't just gripe about food prices. Think of ways to stretch that food. Think of ways to buy in season. And don't be ashamed to buy from that day-old bread rack or from the Stop and Shop always has, they have a big bunch of racks in the back which are produce that, you know, that it's still perfectly good, but they sell it cheap because they got to put out the fresh stuff because some people won't buy it because it's got a, you know, a due date. And some of the due dates still haven't passed yet. But I've gotten a lot of things there. Yeah, you don't pick something that's rotten, but there's good food there that you can use right away. You know, why do we buy new bananas when we make excellent, you know, we take them home and then we don't use them and then they turn brown and we make banana bread, right? Why don't we just buy the bananas brown, save money, and go straight to the banana bread? Why? Because we think we're going to eat the bananas, but we don't. Think about all the things in your fridge that you put there, or your cupboards or whatever. One day you thought that'd be a smashing idea. And you've been putting off eating and putting off. It's just like the clothes you don't wear. If you're not using it, use it or lose it. Give it away. Somebody else will be happy to have what you don't want anymore. Whew. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit now about manipulation. Do I have time? Let me see how we're doing. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. I don't know. I'm going to run over. I keep thinking I don't even have enough to say, and then I run over. I want to talk about intimidation. You probably all saw the scene it was in a Florida school meeting of some sort where some kids came up on the stage and they had masks on. And then they were told that they had the freedom to do whatever they want, but they were really told to take the masks off. And one of the kids stepped off from the stage and he came back without the mask. And later he was on another news channel and he said he was told to either lose the mask or leave. So we need to not be intimidated by any of our scary circumstances. You know what? You are an example to your child no matter what. To your kids, you are God. And to your kids, you are their primary example for the way they're going to live their life. Don't let anybody intimidate you to wear a mask or to not wear a mask. You make your own mind up and you do it. And the child said, the child that was told to lose the mask or leave, he was concerned about his grandparents, that he could literally bring COVID home and kill them. You know, I mean, I wear a mask a lot of times more than I should. Well, I sure don't want to be sick. We don't want to get too cocky. We tend to get very cocky and think, oh, that's over, you know. On the other hand, we don't want to be, you know, like wearing a mask in our own house and wearing it to bed. And I will say for several months, I have not washed my groceries down. I have not disinfected my groceries when they came in. There is a threat of nuclear war. And that's going around right now. That's back to that no-fly zone. That if we if we declare a no-fly zone, and then all it takes is shooting down a plane. And I think I've told you before, I went to Egypt, 88, 89, something like that. When I went, I was at the airport, I think in New York, changing planes to go on to Egypt. And there was an ad. We had shot down a Middle Eastern plane. And they were showing, you know, cleaning up the wreckage and pulling bodies out. And I'm thinking, should I be going there? There have been a lot of times that I have lived the teaching that God watches out for fools and Irishmen. Well, thank God I'm Irish, and sometimes I act like a fool, and God's out there, watching over me. But the basic idea is there are far, far, far more good people than people that will cause us harm. And one of the most beautiful things about what's happened in the Ukraine is, number one, the people have stood united, which we can learn from. And the fellow surrounding worldwide community, most of the countries are standing by the Ukraine. It's so nice to know you don't have to do it alone. And we don't have to do it alone. Okay, quick little piece about the supply chain. Everybody's, I'm not going to say some businesses are not crippled by the supply chain. I'm also saying that we have to find alternative ways, creative ways, get that coin for the taxes out of the fish's mouth. Divine ideas for new ways to do things. One time I was driving by, I was on my way to a dance demonstration with a friend of mine. We were going to a place to perform, and it was the New London Sail Fest. So we were driving through New London, and as you go down the road, there is a cemetery that is bigger than I can wrap my mind around. It's huge. And we were driving by the cemetery, and we were talking about it, and thinking, oh my gosh, all that land, one day we're going to have to grow vegetables on that land. But we did talk, not that deeply, but we did talk about, what if they made it like a park, and, instead of a headstone, the headstone would be a hibachi. So you could go picnic with your loved ones. But seriously, we have to find ways to utilize. Look at all the people who make headstones. I mean, they were probably freaking out. Headstones will be a big loss, because I love to go to old cemeteries, take pictures. They don't allow you to do headstone rubbings anymore, because you're really destroying what's left of the headstone. But think about the headstone people. Oh my God, nobody wants headstones. A lot of cemeteries, they don't allow them. Now you just have to have these little flat plates. Well, by the creativity, start making urns. How about, So whatever thing that you think is being taken away from you, find a new one. Now, the most important thing about what I want to say today is about our differences. Whether they are familial, professional, international, national, we have to know there are far more people in the world who want just what we want. They want to be loved. They want food, clothing, and shelter. They want to be accepted. We are social beings. They want to be accepted and appreciated. Now, you can't do it all for everybody, but you can do something for somebody. Now, if you're getting a tax refund, you can do something for somebody. I suggest you think about that. Research where you're giving. I recommend Charity Navigator as a great way. Give to a person that you know. I may have told you the story about when I was in seminary and we were in church one Sunday. I was with my daughter who, and my granddaughter, who at the time was like 6 months old. It was the two of us. You weren't supposed to have a job when you were in seminary because you had to be giving your time to your studies. And as it was, I got them to give me permission to work part-time because I had these expenses. And so it became time for the offering in church, and I reached in and I grabbed my offering, and it was kind of tough, and didn't have a lot to give. But when it came by, I put my money in the basket, and the girl sitting in front of me, who was a classmate of mine, Judy, and I thank her till this day, she reached back and she gave me a check for $600. Boy, did I need that money. God provides in ways that are expected and are not expected. That which we want, we must be. We must have gratitude for what we have. I'm not going to lie, it's scary. And there are things going on that we don't want to go on. But let's not sweat and make mountains out of molehills. Let's worry about the big things, not the molehills. Let's think about peace and what we can do to bring peace. Let's think about beginning to reunite our own country as we help the Ukraine, as we help other people, as we help people that have addictions, as we help people who have mental illness. Everybody needs somebody. And every day, if there is one thing I urge you to do every day, start a gratitude list. Write down 5 things you're grateful for and why. Now, there's someone I know is watching this video right now, and I'm very grateful whenever I see her name come up. And I don't see the names come up a lot, so it just happens. But, Kristen, I wrote a new story. As I wrote the story, I thought about you, because I know you love my stories. So one day, in the near future, I will be sharing that story. Ooh, but I'll be sharing it because you inspired me. Who are you going to inspire today? Trust. Love God. Love each other. Love yourself. Don't sweat the small stuff. And be open to God showing your part in helping figure out the big stuff.